A very good evening to you and welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, remember that you can follow and join the conversation on our various social media handle right now showing on your screen using Global TV NG. Also remember that you can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. Well, reports reaching us right now says that following the president's instructions, Governor Alicent earlier in the company of service chiefs, including the Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, and Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, today visited the Yewata area of Benue State to assess the situation ahead of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visit. Well, we want to recall that in the course of the week there was an attack even in Yewata community, which is in Guma, a local government area of Benue State. Well, we have some visuals where we've gotten even reports that the CDS General Christopher was able to also assess the damage and engage community leaders, where he was trying to look at all of this going on in Benue State. But let's even look at the internal security, even on the IGP's visit with government on the killings of residents. Well, the president, we understand, will be visiting Benue State come Wednesday to also have first-hand information of what's going on in Benue State and perhaps engage community leaders to find out what's happening in Benue State. But our heart goes out to every person in Benue State, especially in Yewata community, in Guma local government area, and other parts of the state. How it goes out here. We use this opportunity even here on Big Talk to call for peace across Benue State. There is no growth without peace. There is no progress in any community without peace. Peace and progress are the only pathways, and peace is the only pathways to progress. So we are all using this opportunity to also sympathize with the families that have lost their loved ones, even in the course of all of these attacks in Benue State. Well, let's even look at this whole conversation today. But then this is just one part of the conversation. The other part of the conversation has to do with the various political situation ravaging the country. Well, I'll go for this short break, and when I come back, my guest is already standing by to also assess the state of politics in the country right now. And of course, we can charge a new course for our political discourse going forward, even as we delve into the conversation. Stay with me as Big Talk continues after this break. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with me till this point in time. All right now we'll be delving into the first conversation by looking at the general state of the nation. And joining me to talk even this evening is no other than Comrade James Chidi, who is joining me all the way from Lagos to look at these issues critically, as early political tensions have tend to grace a lot of states where we've seen endorsement of different magnitude. But first, let me even welcome you to a Big Talk, Comrade James Chidi. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, and good evening, Nigerians.
All right, comrade, let's look at 2027 is still ahead right now. People say 2 years more to go to begin to prepare for the elections come 2027. But Christmas came too early. Christmas is appearing just around June at this point. But what do you make of the various political tensions that we've seen and the various endorsements from different quarters across the country? Does this speak well of our political development as a nation?
Definitely it doesn't. It means we are actually giving more time to politics other than governance. We actually have two sides to this game. That is the side of politics and the side of governance. INEC regulates the side of politics. Unfortunately, the politicians have hijacked this. Nobody is saying anything when campaign banner and whatever campaign ban has not been lifted, and people are already campaigning and endorsing, going from state to state. What will they do when the campaign ban is lifted? So I think we are not serious as a country. When INEC cannot wade in, when political parties and political actors violate the guidelines for electoral regulations and our common laws here, nobody is saying anything. You know, it is not speaking well for us as a country.
Commission will say that some of this campaign and of course the banners that you see on the roads are not coming officially, but then these is coming rather from people that are trying to promote mischief, and also supporters of different aspirants, because no aspirants have been publicly declared to be contesting in this whole electionary process come 2027. Nobody has come out to openly say, I am contesting as it stands right now because of the ban. So I'm not a spokesperson for INEC, but going by that trajectory and taking it from that position, can we say right now that the party supporters are doing more and are biting more even to disrupt the whole political system, because this is not coming from an individual but rather supporters? So even what do you even make of that development as it stands also?
Yeah, you see, when you say political supporters, some of these things, like, was it yesterday? You see where Ganduje, the national chairman of the APC, went to canvass for endorsement. What is this? Isn't, when you say they are being propagated by political supporters, then what is also the national chairman of the party doing? So I think we are being too deceptive to ourselves here. They let nobody lie. This is an open game. Tinubu has also confirmed this. He said, we are not going to tell you anything. Once you people are having problem, it is up to you. Then the endorsement also, is he not aware? Is it because it's favoring him? Let us be open here. Forget anybody lying to you that they are not doing campaign. Okay, have they arrested any of them? If you know that these people are actually political, but they are actually also going against a law. We see them on national television. We see them on. So why haven't they been arrested? Let them make arrests if they know that they are serious. The game is just favoring one particular side. So you can actually say that nothing is going on. But let me tell you, had it been the other parties are actually engaged or involved in this, then you will know that it will be used against them by INEC. It is an open game here. Let nobody deceive the other here. So it's not as if it's something hidden or it's something Nigerians are not open to. Let other parties try same and see the devil of the other of INEC. So it's just open here.
There have been a lot of political tension lately from the 6 geopolitical zones across the country. And we've seen this play out and endorsements across the country. And one begins to ask at this point, can we say for a show and a through that even the whole electoral process right now and the act that regulates INEC has not been dealt with, or perhaps has not been suspended? When you look at all the whole attention right now, can we say that we still have an act where you begin to assess it going with a political lens?
And that's what I'm saying. The laws go silent when a rich or a political, in fact, the ruling class especially, when they go against the law, it is silent. When a poor man go against the law becomes active. So it is just the country we find ourselves in. If it is not, I don't know why the law against campaign before campaign ban is being lifted is silent on up until this time. When is Mr. President going to work? When so far it's been 2 years. He has 2 years to go, and all he is doing now is campaign, campaign, campaign. All the APC is doing now is campaign, campaign, campaign. I think the way it is now, there is no other political party apart from the APC that is campaigning as much as I know. So it is just that the law is silent because APC is the ruling party. It is also the party directly engaged in this violation. Had it been, like I said before, had it been is the other opposition that is engaging in this kind of political, in this kind of lawlessness, I tell you, the ruling party actually the law will be immediately activated to go against them. So, but who will activate the law to go against the president? Who will activate the law to go against the ruling party? That is the question here. So it's not as if Nigerians are not aware that there is a law or regulation against this. But the question is, who will activate the law?
Well, Chidi, most politicians have come out to say that they've not openly come out to declare their intentions for even running for presidency or for a governorship, House of Rep members, Senate, and all of that. They've come out to declare. And there's still a ban on looking at the whole democratic process by INEC and the timetable by INEC. There's still a ban on campaign as it stands, any campaign to be precise. Now, most politicians have not declared their intention. Now, we've tagged this to supporters. Then we have a case also where the supporters happen to be faceless supporters. And most supporters will just go out there, you see banners, you see flyers, people are just trying to play mischief.
Can I cut you short?
Are actual supporters, or these are just mischief makers who are trying to propagate some form of conflict in even in preparation to disrupt the various electoral system as you have it right now?
Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Is Senator Odios Okalu a sitting senator currently? Is he a faceless Nigerian? Is Senator Odios Okalu one of the mischief makers also? Well, we saw him the other day on the floor of the House of Assembly, putting on a garb.
But it is enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution. In section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution, gives him the freedom to express itself, and he chooses to go by that attire. That does not constitute an electionary process. Just to set the record straight, Chidi.
What? Okay, but see, how else does a campaign logo look like when you have printed Tinubu 2027 or Odios Okalu 2027 and you wore an attire that looks like a flag, and you are walking on the floor of the plenary, calling the attention of the press and all this? How else do you want a campaign process to look like? This is open. You can see. It might be technical, but what we know, the clear intent. Remember that the law does not judge the action, but the intent. So if you go by this, then you can now clearly be a judge in this and tell me whether he has violated the campaign process, the law on campaign or not. It is an open thing. It is you can argue it out anywhere. Senator Odios Okalu is not a faceless Nigerian. So let us remove the fact that he printed Tinubu on that same T-shirt. He also printed himself. Is he also making mischief and mockery of himself at the same time? He is doing a campaign for himself and Tinubu 2027. Himself. This is a particular case in point. Do we deny? Are we going to deny this? Are we going to say it's being peddled by a supporter? No. Rather, he is giving the supporters impression to go ahead and start carrying about this kind of campaign. What are we saying? Let us allow the people who are supposed. Okay, Senator Odious Okalu, the question now is, when will he have time to work when he has started campaigning 2 years ahead? When will he be able to discharge his constitutional duties to his constituents? When will he have that time? That is the question. So it is not only by this anybody telling you is being peddled by mischief makers or party supporters or hardline supporters. The answer, the thing is, there is a body language that is propelling them to do so. Such one of which is that portrayed by Senator Odious Okalu. We can't continue deceiving ourselves as if we don't know why or how these things are coming by. And okay, when has Tinubu been able to say or tell Nigerians, please, you people, dozen, we still have 2 or 1.5 years to go, or the campaign lines have not been, or it will be used against me. Some of these people are sitting governors. So what are we saying? Deception. You can rebrand it whatever you want, but we know the game. We know where the line is being. We know where this is being pushed to.
Chidi, let's even talk in terms of this narrative that has been painted across the country. Now, let's begin with Gombe. When you look at what played out in Gombe, what is your general take in it? When we talk about the level of tension right now, even looking at the issue that happened in Benue State just yesterday, where even protesters came out en masse to speak out on the irregularities and the various attacks that they've experienced. And we've seen similar incidents in Gombe. When you look at this in preparation for the 2027 election, what do you make of this whole development right now?
The point is, we are missing the line. I don't actually know if work and work alone is the determinant of how a political officer is being elected into power. If that is, then Tinubu is not qualified to contest in 2027, not to talk of being voted in. His administration, the rate of killings, the rate of criminality under his administration, under his watch, should be able to make Nigerians.
We can't categorically say that there's been a lot of criminality even in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. Of course, we've not gotten that proven before a competent court of law. So let's just put that on the position of allegation. Let's say, okay, allegedly a criminality even in that administration, just to set the record straight. You can go ahead.
Setting the record straight, we are the Nigerians who are feeling the impact of what is going on. We are the masses. So anything can be written on paper, but in practice, there is when you separate theory from practice, then you get what I'm saying. We know a lot of things. Okay, where is Yahaya Bello? I saw on TV yesterday when he was actually walking around and being welcomed by the vice president, standing up to greet him. When a high level of a high criminal case of financial misappropriation is hanged on his neck, the vice president is worshiping, standing up for
alleged criminal misappropriation, Chidi. Alleged
criminal misappropriations, quite all right. But why has that case not been determined and actually resolved swiftly? The point is, there is this kid glove that is being used to handle some sort of people at this time. So when we are talking about 2027, if work and only work should be used to determine by the electorate whether or who becomes what, then let's see. But I challenge you, he is not supposed to win He is not supposed to win presidency coming 2027. But all these things are neglected. Look at what happened in Benue. Up until now, the president has not said anything. But it took him less than 24 hours to respond to what is happening in Israel. The distance between Benue and Abuja is not more than 4 hours by drive if he wants to visit, or by air not more than 30 minutes. So how else do you want to see how else do you want to gauge or see the negligence on the part of his administration on Nigerians?
All right, Chidi, just again to set the record straight, we understand that the president have spoken and also condone with the families that have lost their lives in Benue State. And the president has also sent in the CDS, that's the Chief of Defense Staff, and the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, down to Benue State to assess the situation in Benue State. And we understand also by Wednesday, the president will also by himself be in Benue State to assess the situation. But then, be that as it may, I understand when we look at the whole campaign right now, you are taking it from the angle from the All Progressive Congress. Like, it's the All Progressive Congress that is championing the cause of election. But we've seen Labour Party and Labour Party supporters also fronting the Labour Party presidential candidate in the person of Peter Obi. And of course, we've seen a lot of coalition going on across the country. So I want to ask at this point, so we create a balance in the conversation. Is this a one-sided campaign theory right now, where only one party is pushing for to endorse their candidate, or it's a generic thing, so that we put this in perspective?
Yeah, when you talk about the coalition is just a movement of people, not parties. You would have noticed it. It's been individuals trying to, align to form a common front against what is happening in the country. I think at the moment the coalition is actually going to bring out a candidate that will run. But definitely, what we are talking, why I actually capitalized on the opposition, on the ruling party, is that this is the party in power. They should be able to. Then, if there is any campaign from any other party, it is then that, and only then, will they be able to go after them. This is what the law says, and you are violating the law. It is not a crime if any other political party is campaigning and the law catches up with them. But it will become a crime if the ruling party is campaigning and any other party joins to campaign. Then the law catches up with the opposition and does not catch up with the ruling party. So who is at the moment, if there is campaign from other political parties, who should be blamed? It is the law that is not catching up with them. So let the ruling party do their job. First of all, step down their own campaign, push up campaigns from then. Let us see whether the oppositions will go for campaign. Let the law catch up with them. Let us set the record straight also from this angle.
This seems like more of an endorsement from people that I think I love with Mr. President. And they want to just show their love and express their thoughts by showing that they are in support of some of the things that they did. Of course, we saw that play out at the APC National Summit, where people that were comfortable with what the president were doing, they said, oh, why not one good turn deserves another? And that's why they are endorsing. So I don't know if that constitutes a campaign already, as you are saying right now. Of course, we've seen that play out with the people of the Labour Party also, or people that are supporting the presidential candidate of the 2023 election. Were saying, hey, of course, Peter Obi must come back and can contest the election. As a matter of fact, the coalition should be built around Peter Obi. Same thing with the Kwankwaso movement, even in Kano State. We've seen what plays out also, what's playing out right now, even in the People's Democratic Party, giving endorsements to presidential candidates that were there. Does this constitute a campaign so we can be on the same page at this point?
Clearly, this is when you say if it constitutes a campaign or not. Technically, it does. I think the president should be allowed to at least do his work, all these things, because I can
But if
clearly tell you
forgive this,
that
its literal meaning in law. Forgive this, its literal meaning in law, and not following it from the literal approach of the word campaign. I'm not going by the purposive approach to campaign. Does this constitute a campaign? So we can take it up from that point, Chidi.
definitely it does.
All right. So let's even move on to our other conversation, Chidi, right now. There is this allegation that says that the minority political party are trying to disrupt systems in different states in order to create some form of tension and destabilize the security. But when you look at all of this, how correct is this narrative, this whole allegation that minority political parties are behind the feeling of tension even in various states across the country right now?
Please rephrase your question.
All right. So there is this allegation and narrative making the rounds. Allegation, of course, that says that minority political parties are responsible for disrupting the various peace that various states have enjoyed in Nigeria in order to create some form of political turmoil and disrupt the peace and just score cheap political points. When you look at all of this right now and the tension across the country coming from this whole angle, can we say that minority political parties are largely responsible for this, and the allegation is correct when you look at it from your own analysis?
Definitely it doesn't. See, you don't play blame game. The ruling party should take responsibility. You can't when you don't finish your line of duty and begin to blame some other person for what they are doing, then it makes no sense. If there is anybody causing any form of illegality or thereabout, then the ruling party or the president should be able to apprehend, and the person should face the law. The answer is no. It is practically no. There is no way you keep blaming people for what they are not doing and you are not doing your own right. Then the equation will be balanced. The answer is practically no. Bring the perpetrators to book. Who are you expecting to bring the people you are accusing to book? Bring them to book with evidence. You don't just keep accusing people for no reason. Let's forget the blame game. Let's face the reality. If there is anybody, any particular political party, any individual, no one is above the law. So putting on blame game is just a way of running away from your job, and that's not a fine one for Nigeria.
Quite interesting. But then you've called this a blame game. We've seen accusations and counter accusation coming in from across the country, and we've seen threat and counter threat flowing all around from minority political parties who have tend to build a very formidable force and network around the people, and we see all of this rancor. Sometimes you see President Buhari campaign, President Tinubu's campaign, and anti-President Tinubu campaign. We saw what play out even in the end, a bad governance whole scenario and saga that played out in the country. When we go by all of this, is this a deliberate attempt? Because we've seen that most minority political parties, again, are not even trying to work with the president in the light of working with the president. We've not seen political parties try to, minority political parties in the light of this conversation, even try to support the president by bringing in policies, agendas that can chart a new course for our democratic development, taking Wike as a case study, what Wike is doing in order to support the president. Can we say that Nigeria is being put forward by minority political parties in order to chant a developmental stride for us?
See, we also miss the line again here. What does criticism do? It further enhances the capability and capacity of any individual that is criticized.
But criticism without concrete solution, it further diminishes the line.
Most of these critics also have their solutions in the criticism. most of the ones I've been seeing in recent times, or even in time past, have their solutions embedded in them. It's just that we take all things for criticism, for just because these people are opposition, whatever they have said. I heard one time when the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, said, if there is nothing the president can do, please copy my manifesto, but make sure Nigeria is fixed. Did he do that? Instead, the Onanuga replied, and that ended it. These things shouldn't go this way. Criticism is meant, first of all, to put someone who is not in line. And when we don't take all the things because it's an opposition, or it's someone who is because he lost, that's why he's criticizing, then it doesn't help. So I think most of the criticisms we have been seeing in recent times, or even in the past, like I said, also have their solutions embedded in them. Look inwards. If you are the person who is being criticized, look inwards, then you find out one or two that you are supposed to do. You pick them and do it.
Let's even take a short break right now so that we will get to talk more about the angles of tensions that is even coming across the country. Then we will even look at other conversation right now, but we'll have to go for this break, and when we come back, we'll talk more. Please stay with us.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
All right, welcome back. Of course, we are still talking about the various tension that is springing forth right now across the country, looking at in preparation for the 2027 election. People will say that the election is still far, and we should talk governance. But then we've seen it is what it is right now across the country, where a lot of political heat is going across various states. As it stands right now, almost all the states are already getting set for elections that is just 2 years away. But words would not be enough to even say that at this point in time, if election is conducted tomorrow, of course Nigerians are already set because the tension is heated. But let's even talk back to Chidi. Let's take the conversation back to Chidi. Now, all right, Chidi, are you still there with us? All right, Chidi, I will look at the various tension that we have right now in the country, from the east through to the west, to the south, and back to the north. when we look at all of this prepared together, one will begin to ask a very salient question. Are we in the right track in preparation for our elections? That's one. Two, can we call this a political awareness in preparation for election? Two. Three, can we call this the development of political culture, or the revolution of political culture that has moved and transcend the normal cognitive orientation, affective and evaluative orientation that we were used to, and this is just another phase of our democratic growth and development? Can we begin to put this even within the academic confines to prefer to know if we've entered into another level of political demonstration, belief and evolution?
I think Nigerians are becoming politically, increasingly politically aware, and I believe Nigerians are becoming increasingly and politically aware of their environment. That is what I think is happening. Also, the ripples of 2023 elections is actually also part of the thing you see playing out, because a lot of people believe so much that the 2023 election outcome was swayed. So, and they still believe that they can still correct that line. That is what I think is still happening. But the first port of call is that Nigerians, I think, are increasingly politically aware of their environment and really want a change. That is what you can see, what I can make out of this.
And you are not thinking at this point that this is an evolution of the Nigerian political system, because we've never had it this good before, when Nigerians are already getting set and prepared. So should we begin, when we look at this, even hypothetically, can we say that this is an evolution of the Nigerian democratic system, where as soon as Nigerians cast their votes and election victors are emerge even from elections, now Nigerians are already set for the next election, and this by extension should be a school of thought or a study for other African countries to be more politically aware, even when it has to do with electionary matters?
You see, when you talk about political revolution with our democracy, if you attach it, then I should tell you that before attaching democracy to the political revolution, it must be it must end with credibility. If it doesn't, then it might be a revolution that has no politics attached to it. But as it were now, let us just hang it on the point that Nigerians are being politically aware of their environment and really want to change. If you say it's a revolution, let's watch until it gets to that revolutionary length. But to me, what is happening is good for Nigerians. It is also good for democracy. And but before we begin to talk about copying or other African countries, you see, nobody copies a failure. We've not got it right, as it were. To me, as a person, I feel we've not got it right. The election system in Nigeria is still massively flawed. So until we fix it, something like fixing, if we're able to fix the INEC regulations before 2027, such that the Bivas will be able to reflect directly the outcome of the polls right from the polling booth, then it's a step in the right direction. It will also restore hope on these teeming Nigerians who are actually yearning for change. It doesn't matter who becomes the winner, but it matters that the will of the people prevails in the end of the whole thing. Then that is when we'll be talking about democracy and the revolution we are talking about attached to it. But as it were now, we are only seeing a people who are interested in making something happen. That is what I can see and feel from Nigerians now. But until we get it right, before we talk about African countries copying what we are doing here. My take.
We're saying that with this length of political exposure that we are having right now, we should not rather coin a name for it, even within the academic space, to begin to talk around this era, because we've never had this much of awareness so far in our nascent democratic growth for 26 years, where people are more enlightened, people are more aware. Shouldn't we begin to sell this as a knowledge to other African countries, looking at it from I know you've come out to say that, hey, because of the fact that for you there's not been fairness, there's not been credibility, and what have you. But then this is an evolutionary process. And I don't know how you see it, but I'm asking from the political angle, shouldn't we begin to sell this narrative to other African countries that politics have moved from the cognitive orientation, that's moved that in terms of political culture, that we've moved from the affective orientations, that we've moved past the line of the evaluative orientation. And right now we are doing more of a Nigerian, a Niger-centric orientation, which will evolutionize the political landscape across the world.
Who copies the other comrade? The person who is getting it right or the person who is not getting it right? Let me tell you something. Recently, Botswana concluded an election, voted out the incumbent, and the opposition won, and nobody heard anything about it. Ghana, same thing happened, nobody heard. So why will you be selling a failure for other countries to copy? Like I told you, I repeat, Nigerians are increasingly aware of their political surroundings. But until we fix the election itself, you cannot begin to tell any other person to copy from you. You can only tell somebody to copy what you are doing right. If I am burning in the fire and you will tell me to copy for you, then what do I copy? How to die? The answer is no. So I think, first of all, let us get it right. The moment we get it right, other African countries will celebrate Nigeria. Remember, Nigeria is the giant of Africa. As we speak now, Nigeria being a giant, I don't know the kind of giant that we are now. We've lost our glory. Our currency used to be very good before. Now you know where we are. Before now, there are some things that we are, at least we can boast of being better off against other African countries. But today, even the smallest countries in Africa are laughing at us. I watched on TV the other day when one official from Botswana was saying they say Nigeria is the giant of Africa. Literally say because Nigeria is one in every 4 blacks. But what has that got to do with him going to the market and there is no made in Nigerian goods in his shop? There is no this coming from Nigeria. So it is just basically by size. I think if we are able to fix our electoral system and we have a good election in Nigeria for the first time probably, then we will be we will be celebrated, and other countries will need to come and copy from us. But at the moment, I can tell you, nobody copies what is not actually working perfectly, unless you want to go and test run something that has been used that failed. Then you begin to fine tune it.
It stands right now, when we look at where we're coming from and where we are right now, we'll say that when it has to do with political orientation and political preparation and being politically aware, we are more better right now. Can we even agree on that right now, Chidi?
Yes, I agree with you. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. We are better off politically in political awareness the way it is now. 2023 election puts more Nigerians. In fact, even from the data from INEC, more and more people went to register for voters card so that they can be eligible to vote during 2023 elections. So I hope the same thing repeats again in 2027 elections. I pray it repeats, because like I said a lot of Nigerians, I'm not the only one saying it. Everybody, a great number of Nigerians were disenchanted with the outcome of 2023. I hope at the end of the day, even with the brouhaha that is happening now, we don't actually find less people than we had in 2023 at the polling booth in 2027. I pray it doesn't happen. But like I said before, we have more Nigerians who are more politically aware of their surroundings, and that is a good one for us. If we keep on this engagement and this tempo, I think it will get to a time where Nigerians will be able to, come together as a country and say, this is who we want. And if everybody wins that trust, then the person will go in for it. Well, gradually we are getting there.
Gradually it is, we are getting there, Chidi. I want to say thank you so much for finding out time to be with us here on Big Talk.
Thank you, and good evening, Nigerians.
Well, this is how far we can go today on the show Big Talk. Do remember that you can join the conversation on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Enjoy the rest of your evening.